Well, good evening, everybody. It's Tuesday, 6:30 Mountain Standard Time. You know what time it is. It's time for the Denver Bronco Roundup. Thank you guys so much for joining us this evening. Can't wait to get started, man. Things have been dropping left and right. Man, Mr. Albert Noppers, welcome to the show, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. And yourself?
Doing pretty dang good. Doing pretty good. Just 1 second, man. Pardon me, everybody. I just gotta. I think we lost Jody, dude. Jody is officially missing, man. I was looking all over for him, but he's not here this evening. All joking aside, we're gonna miss our buddy Jody out there. So, unfortunately, sometimes life and our other work life kind of gets in the way. So, Jody couldn't be here this evening, but we appreciate everyone jumping in, everyone being part of the conversation with just me and Mr. Albert Noppers, the Mile High Dutchie here this evening. So, I figured I might start this off just, slightly different. I wanted to give a shout out right at the top, rather than to our network, to our great sponsor, Willow Seasonings and Blends. Willow Seasonings and Blends is not only. I'm getting a message that we're not live all the way across the board, bud.
Yeah.
Having some issues. Boy, not sure. But I got Matt in here from Facebook jumping in here, commenting, saying, "What's up, gentlemen? RMSN DBR, let's go." So might be having some issues on some other places, but I found it on Facebook as well, buddy. So
Okay.
I think we're going to be okay. Anyway, Willow Seasonings and Blends, and if anybody's out there on Facebook, just give us a shout and make sure that we're all good to go. So Willow Seasonings and Blends, fantastic company. They're our sponsor. Not only their sponsor, but just recently, an award winner. Their Memphis style dry rub finished third in the 2023 Best Rub Contest. Pork Seasonings. Of course, last year they took home the blue ribbon, #1 in the 2022 American Royal Best Rub for their sweet heat. Guys, these guys are out there. They're kicking butt. They're now went from Colorado all the way into Arizona. Fantastic products. They have recipes on their website. If you jump over there, willowseasonings.com. I was just checking it out because, quite honestly, they got some pulled pork tacos. My wife loves some pulled pork tacos, man. Loves some pulled pork tacos. And Willow Seasonings is got the recipe already all lined up for you online as well. So I'm telling you, willowseasonings.com, willowseasonings.com. Like I said, award-winning last year, award-winning this year. And by the way, if you happen to be in the Colorado area, they got some events coming up as well. Just to kind of give you an idea that we just missed one. Of course, when they were out there competing in their barbecue competition, that actually happened on March 19th when they took home that #3 spot. So, but coming up, Ruff's Barbecue Shop. That's in Golden, Colorado. If you happen to be in that area, April 30th, 2023, just around the corner, really, guys. Man, this month flies by. 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., they'll be out there representing. I'm sure they'll have some great stuff going on. Like I said, willowseasonings.com. Check them out. And by the way, right now, I know their March Madness ended, but any orders over $70, that's free shipping to your house, guys. So no matter where you're at, they'll get it there. A few people jumping in already, so Michael Ronquillo, good evening, Keith and Albert. Well, good evening to you, Michael. Appreciate you jumping in here, being part of the conversation. Michelle jumping in here saying, "Oh my goodness, the Memphis style rub is so yummy." So fantastic, man. I love that little bit of representation from the Noppers household for Willow Seasonings as well. So, and good evening, gents. Time for rocking and rolling. And man, I tell you what, it was funny. Just a few days ago, Albert, I was thinking, what are we going to be talking about? It seems like, the big parts of free agency have gone by. We're kind of in this middle period. The draft is around the corner. Maybe we'll have some visits. Maybe there's some workouts, but really it kind of gets a little bit slow. And then the Broncos have been now in the headlines in one way or another quite a bit over the last few days. So I want to get the negative out of the way. Last year, 7th round, we went out and got a safety that I thought, quite honestly, even though we were getting him in the 7th round, I thought he was at least 5th round talent, maybe even 4th round talent. Came out of Wisconsin, Faion Hicks. We didn't see a whole lot of him. I didn't see a lot of him down at training camp. He appeared in 2 games for us, so some limited playing time, probably as Locke and Stearns and all that, and Kareem Jackson and Simmons went down last year. There was a lot going on. He probably got a little bit of playing time, and I don't know if you recognized him. I remember him coming on the field at one point just because I remember the name.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we haven't had this in a while, Albert, but we got some bad news as Faion Hicks was arrested in Florida, and I'm sure that you caught it as well, man.
Yep.
I'll just run down really quick. The timeline of this, I'll be honest. First, I wanted to say I wanted to give this guy the benefit of the doubt. And then within the last, I'll say 6 hours, maybe 8 hours, the entire story came out, which it's really tough to give him the benefit of the doubt. He's pulled over for running a stop sign. Cop pulls up, thinks he smells marijuana, fresh marijuana, as he said, coming from the car. Faion denies it, but seems nervous. Cop pulls him out to do a search. Not only does he find a marijuana cigarette and several other baggies that contain what they believe to be marijuana, but they also find a gun under the seat, and he has the clip in the center console, and he's also doing this all with no driver's license. So he really kind of got off easy. He has one felony charge for the gun in the car, and of course running the stop sign and not driving on license. He got no drug, litigation against him, I guess you could say, or tickets issued. But disappointing, man. Albert, I know I kind of went on and on and on from hello to now, but jumping right into it, what are your thoughts on Faion Hicks, bud?
See, and therein lies the problem. Even NFL has a really mild issue with marijuana and that stuff. So if they use it in their spare time, there's not much they can do about it. Because
Correct.
it is, and especially in the state of Colorado, it is no illegal to do so. So I don't blame him for that. What I do blame him for driving without a license. That is very stupid.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: if you carry a gun and you get pulled over, that is the first thing you should do. Let them know that you have a gun in the car.
Yes.
And if you're open with that, then the cops have no problem with that.
Very true.
And that is something that I have, because once in a while I have my gun with me too. I have my concealed carry permit, so I'm allowed to have one. And I do the precautions that I need to do. But if you get pulled over and you let them know, hey officer, I have a gun and it's right there and there, then they have no problem with it. So be upfront with the police officers, and then you don't have a problem.
Yeah. Like you said, as far as the NFL is concerned, marijuana policy has certainly laxed. That is not an issue, and even in the state of Florida, they've taken a little bit more relaxed standard, if I remember correctly. That all being said, like I said, I just wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt at the very beginning. Things sometimes, but when you have, something like that in the car and you're not announcing it, you have a gun in the car and you're not announcing it, you don't have your driver's license. It's like there's just so many things that have went wrong, you know what I mean? And in a situation where we really needed him to maybe step up. We do not have the cornerback depth on this
Yeah.
roster, and now this might be hamstringing the Denver Broncos and what they need to do now in the offseason and in the draft. So
See with the license, and that he does not have a license. Was the license expired? And because how many people know that their license is expired?
very
Because
true.
how many people are looking daily on their license to see if it is still valid? I don't think there's many people that do that.
Very true. Not everyone's going to be sitting there looking down at their driver's license, every single year. You don't get we get notifications in the mail where I'm at not for my driver's license. Oh, actually I do. I get notifications for my driver's license and for my plates. So, maybe that's not the case. Plus, I mean, you're living how many different residences, and
Yeah, exactly.
where's your driver's license actually issued from compared to where are you living, and who's getting your mail. I mean, there's a lot. You're a 7th round pick. It's not like you got a staff that's taking care of you left, right, and otherwise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These are things that you're trying to get done with your friends and your family. Hopefully, taking care of your stuff at home. Back in Florida, but. Just like I said, I wanted to get the negative out of the way. Just disappointing. I really, honestly, like I said, I thought he was a 4th or a 5th round talent. I thought he had a really good opportunity this year because of the depth that we had, or the lack of depth that we had, that he'd be able to come in and maybe take a 2nd-year jump and be on the field. So
So
now we're in a different situation. Broncos haven't came out. They haven't, released him. They haven't commented on it. They haven't done anything as of yet, but it certainly doesn't paint you in the best light. So
I don't think he might get a fine from the Broncos, or maybe 1 or 2 games sitting out. We know that Sean Payton, he doesn't really care about it as long as the player is good and they do what they're supposed to do. Well, this is a little bit of negativity, so it might be turned out okay for Hicks.
I don't know. For Sean Payton being the guy who says, we're going to be quiet on social media this year. Don't expect us to be out there broadcasting the whole 9 yards. I think the last thing that he really wanted is, for a guy to be out there in the headlines like this. And it doesn't help that you're a 7th round pick. If we're talking about a 2nd round pick, well, then, yeah, you're not going to go ahead and you're not going to give up on the money and the dollars that you have invested into this player. But a 7th round pick, it'd be nothing to release him, maybe pick him up on a practice squad at the end, something like that. Maybe give him a second chance. But I think the Broncos are going to have to be looking at this point as well. So
this would have been a good article for Judge Jody.
It would have been a good article with Judge Jody. But once again...
We can bring it up next week and see what Jody says about it.
Well, who knows? The real judge might have already ruled on that by that point, Albert. We might not have a chance for that. So, I want to get your take on another kind of breaking just headline. Get kind of both of these out of the way. This has really come out, I believe, in the last 24 hours. Originally by Mike Kliss over at 9 News and 104.3 The Fan. But it's kind of an end of an era, buddy. And it's within about 30 days or so of being a 40-year anniversary of when this gentleman first graced our doors. And that would be Mr. John Elway himself, Mr. Number 7. It came out that he requested a meeting with the Penner Group as his consulting contract was coming to an end. Walked in and basically said, you guys, I think I'm done. And I think you guys got it from here. I'm here if you need me. If Sean needs me, if George needs me, if George needs me, if anybody needs me, yeah, certainly give me a holler. But as for being an employee of the Denver Broncos, I'm no longer. And walked out the door. And, it's just really weird. I know that he didn't spend his entire 40 years here. There was stints, obviously, from his retirement when he wasn't here. But there was always that hope that he would become part of the Broncos again, right? And then that day came, and he ascended, and he's the GM, and he's bringing Peyton Manning in, and, all everything that doesn't return now. This
Yeah,
is
so
this is the final ride.
in a way, he will be missed, and in a way, he will not be missed, because there was also the last couple of years was a lot of negativity about John Elway, and a lot of fans might be happy that he is gone now too, and is no longer involved anymore. And John Elway by himself, I don't think he will ever get tired of football. But maybe being tired being involved with football is a different story. Uh, like you said, he has been doing it for off and on 40 years as a player, as a manager,
As a professional.
as a professional, 40 years. So, yeah, most professionals, if they are 30 years in a job, they retire completely. He took it another 10 years.
And the reason I say that is, how long has this gentleman been around football, though? All his life.
His whole life, entire life. He started in high school, and probably he was born with a football in his hand.
There you go. Yeah, I was gonna say way before high school, man. I'm sure he was toting around a football from early age, buddy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, it's his dad was a professional coach too. So.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like I said, it was part of who he was from the moment he came into this or onto this earth. So, I think Matt's saying it was time for that era to end. I'm going to finish your sentence for you, Matt. I noticed that it was missing. Maybe it was to begin again, but I doubt that. He says it was time for the Elway era to close its doors for good. I agree. Maybe it's Matt. I know Matt. I'm a little bit older than Matt. I remember watching John Elway almost from the moment he took the field. So it's, for me, it is a little bit odd that, like I said, that here's a guy that, we'll see him on the sidelines. Maybe he shows up at a training camp. He'll never not be welcomed, you know what I mean, to the Denver Broncos. He'll never not have access almost to any place that, Russell Wilson has. But that being said, it's a different time. It's a different time. It's a different era now. He has truly passed the torch on from really a place that he held onto for quite some time. For almost 40 years, he's held on to a torch of being that face. For the Denver Broncos.
And Elway will never be forgotten. His number is high up in the stadium.
Yes. Yep. Never forgotten. No,
he will never be forgotten.
No, we'll never. I know that we're talking end of an era, but certainly we wouldn't have forgotten him had he left 10 years ago. Had he left 15 years ago, we would have never forgot him. So that being said, wanted to just pay tribute, I guess, more than anything. Like I said, I think it is a passing of the torch. I think it does bring the face that, even suffered through some of these last few years, where who's the ownership, who's the GM, who's the head coach. But we always had Elway kind of as a steadiness in the background, I guess you could say, at least from an icon, from an image, if not from a true X's and O's pulling the strings type of guy. At least we had that solidity of John Elway, and that's no more. So again, thanks for letting me go off a little bit. Like I said, I remember it was really when John Elway hit the stage is about the exact same time I started watching the Broncos. It just happened to be in parallel. It wasn't because I fell in love with him at Stanford or in the draft or within the first 4 games, which no, he had a terrible first season, so I wouldn't have fell in love with him within his first season. But anyway, remember from the beginning. So,
yeah, and I have a similar story, but then with Peyton Manning, I became involved with. I'm a big fan of the Denver Broncos because of what Peyton Manning was doing. And it was his first year with the Broncos, and I've never heard of Peyton Manning before. And I was at a friend's house and watched the Raiders and the Broncos, and the rest is history.
Yeah, your fandom came a little bit later than me, obviously, in your life, but strong nonetheless, Albert, and appreciate everything that you bring as far as that's concerned, including guys, we need to. I'm going to tease it right now. Noppers Knowledge had me stumped to the very end. I told Albert there was no way he was going to stump me. I told him I think you're going to make it too easy for not only me but all the fans. Now I gotta admit, one of our fans actually got it. Do you remember who it was?
Yeah, Michael Ronquillo.
Yeah, I thought so. Michael Ronquillo, of course, the great Michael Ronquillo. See if he can go 2 in a row, because so far I'm Stumpsville. So hang on for Noppers Knowledge. That'll be coming a little bit later in the show. Albert, just another thing, like I said, breaking news that just seems to be dropping left, right, and otherwise. We teased it on our little ad for our show tonight. It was in the background. Hopefully everybody noticed it. But the Broncos did a little teasing on their own.
Yep.
They teased an alternate uniform for next year. What are your thoughts? And you can, if you want to, you can break down what you saw when we saw that image and what your thoughts are about it, bud.
I really hope that they're gonna put a different color helmet in there. It would be so fantastic to see something different. And the most of the blue helmets, you don't see much of all the colors on it from other players, but on a white, now we can see how much damage we do to all the players. That would be fun.
You want the roughed up, scarred up white helmet. You want to see who's been laying the wood and
maybe they should start. Maybe they should start putting stickers on there if they laid them flat and they stayed down for longer than a minute.
Yeah, we don't. I don't know if that's a form of bounty gate, which Sean Payton was a part of. I don't know if we should bring that back. I mean, that's not the best idea, man. Man, I tell you, I know Matt is in here. He's kind of blowing up the comment board about some quarterbacks, and I just want to tell Matt, hang tight, Matt. I'm going to throw your comments up there in just a second, and I do want to get to a little bit of talk on some quarterbacks. Maybe I'll push that up in the show, but man, it's been a long time coming, man. I'll be honest. I know that I have. Let's see if I can do this logo in the corner of the screen right down here, but this one's been around for a little while. It replaced something that was iconic, and to be honest, I'm probably on the wagon of this maybe being a logo that's maybe dated. It seems like it's very era specific, our current logo. So what I would love is to see something new, something different, or something more throwback or nostalgic. But I'll be honest, it's the mountains and the visor that really has me going. I think there's going to be a mountain theme that we're going to see across the jersey and or the helmet. I don't know. That's my prediction. That's my prediction.
So what I would like to see is that the old D logo, but with the new horse in there, the one that we see on the bottom of the screen.
Yep.
That would be cool.
That would be cool too, man. I tell you, there's a lot of designs out there that we've seen over the years, and we could, from fans that have done a fantastic job. I'm excited to see what we're gonna do. But like I said, I just have a feeling that I agree with most people. Obviously, with the white helmet, I think it's going to be a whiteout type of theme that we're going to get from this uniform. It was big for the Bengals, obviously, but obviously there's white Bengals and there's orange Bengals and the like. There's a reason. I think if you bring in that mountain theme and the idea of mountaintops being snow covered in Colorado, I think that's the way we're going. I think that's the easy tie-in. So anyway, that's just my thought. I've been thinking this too. We've been seeing teams go with a state flag colors here in Colorado. Wonder if it's a tribute to that. That would be pretty cool, man. That would be pretty cool as well. Like I said, I could see that Colorado tie-in. They even asked when they sent their survey out. The survey had several questions that said, what do you think about Colorado this or Colorado that? Not necessarily Denver this or Denver that. So I think they're maybe hinting towards the possibility of having a larger regional tie-in by bringing Colorado into the idea and the mindset of what the Broncos are. So that also, and I brought this up, if the Broncos ever happen to move and they move the stadium to a different county, to a different town, and they're no longer in Denver, you know, there's a possibility we have the Colorado Broncos rather than the Denver Broncos. I don't know. I hope that they're able to maintain the Denver Broncos. That would be, I think, upsetting to too many. But just wanted to throw that up there. Don't kill the messenger. It's just a thought. It's just an idea. It's just something that you have to keep in perspective. If you're no longer in Denver County and you're no longer in the city of Denver, do you get to call yourself the Denver Broncos?
As long as you're close to the airport and you're still in the Denver Bronco airport, then why not?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, bud, there's the logistics of it say no. That's all I'm saying.
But the Colorado Broncos has some good vibes to it as well.
We wouldn't want the Foxborough Patriots.
No.
Just saying. Anyway, gotta say hi to the guy who typically wears the robe, the black robe, and sits on the bench, holds the gavel. Good evening, Jody Moncrief. He's saying good evening to us. So, Jody, we're missing you, bud. But I appreciate you tuning in. Sorry you couldn't be here. Understand you got those work the work's bringing you down, man. Let's just put it that way. Work's bringing you down. Work's got you working.
Duty called him.
Duty called. Yes, maybe to another bench he needed to go. He was called to another courtroom per chance. So, hey, gotta love a guy coming in here and saying this. Clayton coming in here saying good evenings. Smash that like and share button. Well, thank you, Clayton, man, and good evening to you. Good evening to you, sir. I appreciate you. Appreciate you guys like you that are supporting us, buddy. Thank you. Clayton, actually, Albert, this might be a good little segue right now. I know that you had brought up in our messages, different ideas, different thoughts of what we could do, and you had some ideas around questions and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Clayton coming in here saying, come in here, smash the share and the like button. Why don't you tell everybody, but especially Clayton, kind of what your idea was, and maybe we can even kick it off kind of quasi even right now. So go ahead, Dutchie.
So my idea was to have a little section that anyone who is listening to the podcast or later on can send us a question about what you would like to talk about, or if they or just a thought they want to like talk about it. And then we will bring it up either in the same podcast or in the next one, and we will go a little bit more into depth. So if you have something like that, send us a message or even put it here in the chat. That would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what Albert was getting to is, hey guys, we want to be here for you, and certainly, we want to represent what you want to put forth. So Clayton already jumping in here, and so we're gonna hit his comment right off the bat, bud. And I appreciate you jumping in here, Clayton, being part of the show. He says, "I smell a 13-game season, and what are our thoughts? What are your thoughts, Albert? I'll let you go first on this one, bud."
A 13-game season, is that
a 13-game? I think a 13-game wins in the season.
Okay.
That'd be like a 13-4. Make sure that I'm right on track. Clayton, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's saying coaching and our players, we have the potential to do it. So I think we're looking at a 13-game, or 13-win season is what we're looking at. Yep. So getting the win.
So last season, if we scored only 18 points in every game, we would have won 11 or 12 games. Because that's how close it was with our defense. So now with the coaching that we have, there's a big possibility that we could have 13 wins, and that indeed that we can upset the Chiefs and the Raiders and knock them down from their pedestals, and that their winning streaks are over. I definitely see that happen. Sean Payton is beefing up the O line. Probably Russell Wilson will have more protection than he ever had in even with the Seahawks and over here. So I definitely see this there's a possibility.
Yeah, when you say, boy, I wish Clayton. The way you phrase this, I smell a 13 game, or a 13 win season. In this one, I smell it. If I'm thinking about smelling, let's put it this way: we're on the Denver Bronco Roundup. If we're on the scent, if we're on the trail, and we're trying to, hunt down that Bronco, that animal into the wild, right? And maybe we got our dogs out there and they're doing the tracking, right? Yeah, I could smell a 13 game season, but I'm a little bit closer to what Matt is saying here. He says, I feel an 8-win season is realistic, in my opinion. I think
I have to correct. It should be a 9-win, because an 8-win, that would be we had one game tied, because we have 17 games. Remember?
Well, yeah, but you can still have 17 games and only have 8 wins.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't matter.
But that would not be a win. That would not be a winning season.
Oh, okay. 8 wins for the season, I think, is what we're talking about. 13 wins for the season.
Okay.
Yeah, but you're right. It's not an 18 game winning season. You'd have to get 2 ties in there in order for that to work, I think. So, but so you could be 8-7-2 at that point. So, and call yourself a winning team.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that. I'm gonna put it out here. This was my prediction. Yeah, Matt's like, yeah. Just to let you know, Albert, 8-9 is where we'd be at. I think we could smell. I think we could be on the trail of a 13 game winning season. Heck, we could be on the trail of a 14 game winning season, possibly. But can we sniff? Can we be on that track? Can we get closer? Each week, are we going to get closer to that? That's going to be tough. I'll be honest. It's a big swing. I know that we've made some big swings in this offseason. I would love to be wrong on a 13 game winning season. I'm closer to what Matt's saying with that 8-9, but I'll be honest, just to kind of throw it in there since you happen to bring it up, my prediction has been 9-7-1. I think that's a possibility that we sneak into the playoffs, especially with a tie at 9 and only 7 losses rather than 8 losses and 9 wins. We could maybe be a 10-6-1, maybe, but I don't see much better than that. I think it's going to be long term. Even when you saw Payton first get to New Orleans, there was some turn and some churn in the first few years until he really got it running.
But here's a difference. Payton in the early years, he was maybe not as seasoned as well when he came to the Saints.
New Orleans Saints. Yep.
Yeah, he is now a seasoned veteran coach, head coach. He knows how the clock ticks, and you have seen it with the Broncos. How many games did we have last year that were within 1 score? Pretty much all of them. Except, and now with Sean Payton, because the 1 score difference was because of bad coaching.
Okay. Let me ask you this: would you say there was bad coaching on the defensive side of the ball last year?
No, absolutely not.
No. Okay, I'll just making sure. Wow.
But on the offensive side, you don't. They tried to put, and part of it is Russell Wilson's fault too. He wanted to be a different type of quarterback like Drew Brees, but he just is not that person. And Hackett wanted Russell Wilson to be Aaron Rodgers. It just didn't fit. And the last three games, we saw a total different Russell Wilson.
I would say in the last 3 games we saw a total different defense.
Yeah, because they had given up. The defense
Just when your offense gets hot, that's when your defense gives up?
yeah, because they were tired of it.
Oh, I don't believe it. This is what I see. This is what I see, and this is what I'm worried about, guys. And I'll put it out there right now. The defense, you brought up the 18 points, and if we only scored 18 points, we would have won maybe 11, 12 games. Who knows? You're right? That's certainly a possibility, right? At the same time, no offense had to score 18 points in order to win those games against us. So as they're going down in the fourth quarter, and we've shown nothing all game, and they're up by 2 scores, are they putting the pedal down? Are they going to go ahead and start airing it out and possibly getting turnovers? Are they bringing out their craziest plays against a so-called top defense? No, they weren't. Now, when we got to the San Diego Chargers, who were trying to get in the playoffs, and we get to the Kansas City Chiefs, who are trying to get in the playoffs, and we're hot as an offense, and we start putting up points, what happened? Our defense didn't look like a top 5 defense. I'm concerned that we don't have the defense we think we have, and it may get more exposed next year. Now, am I saying that we're going to be at the bottom of the barrel? No, we're not a bottom of the barrel defense, but we do have holes. I think if we just go in here and say, hey, we're the best defense, we're top 5, we're one of the best in the league, we have no holes, we got depth galore, we're kidding ourselves.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Albert.
The thing is, if we have a top 10 defense and a top 15 offense, 10 winning games should be pretty doable.
I agree. Let's put it this way. I think in a lot of ways, the Broncos will have to buy in, into everything that we just got done talking about, whether it be Clayton, who started off this question about this 13-game winning season, or you when you brought it up and kind of emphasized what he was talking about, the coaching, the staff, Sean Payton, the idea, the mindset, the plan. You got to follow suit if you're going to be talking about guaranteed 10 wins because of how good we are and 13-game winning seasons, or 13 wins in a season. You really had to have all cylinders firing. Everyone's got to be on that track, man. Everyone's got to be smelling that 13-game winning game scene. 13 wins in order to get that with 13 wins season. 13 wins in a season. Man, I'll just stumble over that all night long. But that's okay, man.
13-win season.
Yeah, 13 wins in the season. Great point. It's completely reasonable to see the Broncos slide from a top 8 to a top 15 defense. I'm telling you, Matt. If all of a sudden you go out there and you put up, let's say, 17 points in the first quarter, I hopefully then at that point, you have Surtain on one side, and all of a sudden I'm spaced on the other side. We have cornerback.
Mathis? No.
Yeah, Mathis. Yeah. We got Mathis, right? And everyone's saying, hey, Mathis has looked good. Mathis hasn't had to put up with these offenses coming out and firing all over the field because they're trying to catch up in a game, because they're trying to win a game. And it goes all throughout that secondary. That's just one player that I can emphasize, I guess you could say, in that defense that right now is looking really, really good sitting across from PS2. But I don't know how much he's been tested. That's my only concern.
And we also had, and I know it is an excuse, 22 players by the end of the season on the IR. And of those 22, 10 of them were starters.
Mm-hmm.
So that doesn't help either. So I feel really good. We should definitely have a winning season. Definitely winning season.
Yeah.
I see rather 10 than 8 wins, but it definitely could be more because I do believe that Sean Payton makes the difference. He's
And
unpredictable, and that is what it is.
that's fair enough, man. And if there is, this is for you. This is also for our good friend Clayton here, buddy. A little soundbite I just want to play real quick, and this is maybe why you can have hope for that 13 games. Okay, buddy?
We're
Okay.
going to play all of them. In the preseason?
Yeah.
Absolutely we are. Absolutely we are. That's the preseason.
The question was, our starters going to play in the preseason? And just one more time, I'll hit it one more time just so everyone hears it. Yeah, I'll turn up the volume just a little bit. That was a little bit quiet here, bud.
You play the starters?
We're going to play all of them. In the preseason?
Yeah.
Absolutely we are. Absolutely we are. That's the preseason.
Yeah, you could hear the chuckle in the background and the chuckle in Peyton's voice as he had to respond to, "Are we going to play starters?" Absolutely, we are. It's the preseason.
And
You know?
and we are going to practice tackle football.
Yeah. We're going to play tackle football. He brought it up. He says we had there from what he goes from what I understand, there was no 1-on-1s, there was no 9-on-7s. He goes, that's just not how I understand how football works. I'm paraphrasing, but Sean Payton, this is something that came up almost as soon as Sean Payton was hired. And you kind of brought it up, and I've, lots of people. Our chat board has been full every single week with thoughts and ideas around this. And I just want to know if this is a little dangerous, or should it be dangerous? Are we putting too many eggs in the Sean Payton basket? Are we too much in Payton we trust? As of right now, we haven't played a game. We haven't practiced a rep. We haven't had a guy get in the workout room for team activities right now. And we've put a lot at the feet of Sean Payton, and in Sean Payton we trust. Is it too much? And hey, 13 game win seasons, all the staff he brought in, the changes he's made, the free agents he's brought in, and to top this off, and the reason I bring this up is because it recently came out that the line of accountability or answer to, or who gets to call the plays, or who gets to call what as far as trades and players and the whole 9 yards goes this way. Sean Payton and George Payton both answer to Walter Penner. Or George Penner. Greg Penner. Both answer to Greg Penner. I went all the way around, Walter and George and Greg, but Greg Penner. They both answer to Greg Penner. But when it comes to players, personnels, and picks, Sean Payton has the final say, not George Payton anymore. That's different from what we've seen in the past. So once again, we're putting a lot into the Sean Payton basket. Is it too much, Albert? Is it too much?
We have seen the opposite, that just a general manager had to say in hiring of drafting the players, and the coach had only some input in it. Now it is the opposite. Patton finds them, and Sean Payton. So Patton does the footwork, and Sean Payton says, "Oh, I like this guy," so he will put his input in. I think this is a better situation because Sean Payton knows what system he's going to play. Do we have to trust him? Yes, of course we have to trust him. We have to trust Sean Payton. If we don't trust Sean Payton, then we should not be showing up in the football game either.
Do you remember how Sean Payton left the New Orleans Saints in cap hell, as they called it? completely sunk because he was basically calling the shots and did trades and traded draft picks for free agents and brought in big name players. And by the time he walked out of there, they were in a disaster.
Yeah, but
A disaster.
That's why. But he has to be accountable for the panners, and they will tell him yay or nay too.
Yeah, you'd think that would be the same for the Saints. But,
Yeah,
you
but
know, the Saints got caught up in it too.
Yeah, but the Saints, the Panthers have a little bit more, I would say, know how to deal with managers, because you don't get Walmart at a level where they are if you don't have superiors on top.
Okay.
So,
I mean, these are all billionaire. I don't know the Saints ownership that well. To be honest, I haven't dove into that. I didn't do it for the purpose of this little piece that we're talking about right here. But I don't know where their money comes from. I don't know, how it came about. But at the same time, these guys are usually billionaires for a reason, and they're smart guys. I'm just worried that a guy that has proven it maybe in the past, but hasn't done a thing for the Broncos as of yet, and everyone is out there saying, in Payton we trust, including what it looks like is our ownership too, kind of foregoing the spot that George Payton has. And I'll go back to something I thought right from the very beginning when Sean Payton got hired. We could rewind an episode. Maybe I'll bring a sound clip in a future one if it comes to be a debate. But I really thought George Payton might be out the door. You hold on to your GM because he's the guy who has all the staff for all your scouts and the whole 9 yards. You hold on to him through the draft. You always make sure that you do that. You don't want to lose all that knowledge and all that input you've been working on for a year, if not longer. Heck, George Payton's now, went 2 years and now going into his third. So, there's a lot of knowledge and data that has been acquired during that time through all your scouting departments and all your personnel and the whole 9 yards. You go through the draft, but then at that point, that's the perfect time to reset and get in a new GM. Now, the only thing I would say is these guys have been working together. It seems like amazingly. They've been talking very well about each other.
Yeah, and this might be a prove it or a prove it year for George Payton too. We don't know. And in the meantime, there is probably somebody sitting next to George Payton and learning from him. We don't know. And maybe that's why they keep him, because George Payton does know what he is doing in the draft. He is a genius in that area with the draft picks and that kind of stuff. He does know what he is doing.
I would say he's decent. I think genius is overstating his abilities. I think he does very, very well, maybe even higher than mediocre by all means. But as far as saying he's, I mean, if you want to talk about Pat Surtain, that's great. But do you want to talk about Nick Bonito too? I mean, not
but
all of them have been knock him out of the parks.
But
so.
we also knew that Nick Bonito would be a multi-year project, and the first year that he comes in, he plays because of what? Injuries?
He should have been able to. He was a second-round pick. You should be playing in your first year. I mean, he might take a couple of years to really come into his own, but he should be a capable player. And I don't know if most people would look at Nick Bonito this last year and say he looked very capable on the field. I would say that he looked incapable at times, and maybe a flash here and there of something else, but most of the time he was underwhelming to incapable on the field, especially for a second-round pick. I mean, you can say Pat Surtain, but yeah, you're picking at the top, and you got a corner like him staring you in the face. I mean, you'd be more laughed at if you didn't make the pick, you know what I mean, than if you did make the pick and he was sitting right there for you. You know what I mean? It seems more obvious to do so. I don't know. I digress. I don't want to beat up on George Payton, but at the same time, am I reminding you too much of another co-host. I'm sorry, Albert.
No.
I want Clayton's been in here. He's still in the comment board, and I appreciate you, Clayton. So he says, I really think Gregory and Browning going to have a sack season, baby, about 20 each. Well, that would be, I think, the best duo ever to put up sacks on the field simultaneously on the same year. That would be amazing, bud.
I
The
hope
nice
they get
thing,
together.
I'll say this: Gregory, from all accounts that we've heard, it is healthy. He's doing good. He's not going to be coming in like he came in last year, where he's got an injury that he's trying to recover from. Being down there at training camp, it was not very often you saw him on a field that, quite honestly, Hackett didn't have them doing much to begin with anyway. So it was, disappointing in that regard, just like it was disappointing not to see him on the field all that much once the season actually began. So Browning, once again, a guy that I would love to see kind of take that second step, become that guy that we really want him to be. 20 each, I don't know. I would settle for 10 each, Clayton, and be really, really happy about that. How about that? How about you celebrate 10 each and 20 for the pair?
He corrects himself a little further down. He says men together.
Oh, okay. Very good, man. I was like, whew, man, I love your, I love your, oh, there you go. Yep. He meant together. I was going to say, man, that'd be a knock 'em out of the park season. I love your enthusiasm. You would probably guarantee that 13-game win season if you had 20 apiece.
Oh, well, most likely. And here's the thing. We know that VJ, he is going to be aggressive. We know that he is going to do that. That's what he did with the Dolphins and the Cardinals.
Yep.
So I think it's going to be fun to see.
I like this from Michael Ronquillo. Probably my second favorite free agent pickup, Michael. He says Zach Allen is going to ball out for the Broncos this season. So Zach Allen, I love Draymond Jones. Let me put it that way. I'm going to start off with I love Draymond Jones. I think Draymond Jones is a great athlete. I think he's a great player. I think Seattle certainly gained in adding them to their roster on the defense. That being said, I like the skill set of Zach Allen above Draymond Jones, and that's really the replacement that we're looking at. So,
Zach Allen is a little bit more complete.
Yeah, a little bit more stout in the run game, in my opinion, and I honestly like his moves, especially in tight spaces. It's easier to manipulate, especially guards and centers, when there's a lot of space around you, and you're a defensive tackle like Draymond Jones or you're Zach Allen. But when you're in tight spaces, when you're jammed up, when there's guys all, moved up and all around you, he does well. Yeah. He's great at the point of attack, and he maintains it, and he also has great moves in order to, get into that backfield, even if it's just a yard, to try to meet that running back, to try to go after that quarterback and pressure him a little bit. I just like what I like what I see, especially in those tight spaces. So I expect Zach Allen to go out as well. Go ahead, Albert.
And he learned from one of the best in that area, J.J. Watt. I know you're not a big fan of him, but J.J. Watt was very, very good in that area. He was not for nothing Defensive Player of the Year twice. So
yeah, I'll give. This is what if you really want to know my opinion on J.J. Watt, and I'll make it short, I know that he was a fantastic edge rusher. I just think he pursued that a little bit too much, which kind of left the rest of his defense a little bit more vulnerable at times. And that's what I didn't like. It seemed like he was chasing stats, chasing numbers, chasing his own idea of what he wanted to do in the game and not necessarily what the defense needed at the time. So, especially towards the end of his career. But I digress. That's my only problem I have with J.J. Watt. But I can tell you, a freak of an athlete, 100% capable of harassing a quarterback from, the moment the coin flips to the final whistle. So, great athlete, just, didn't always like the mindset that he brought to the field. So, Clayton also coming in here and saying, comeback player of the year for Russ. I think it's certainly a possibility. It's also something that I really, really, really don't care for, because I don't know what you're coming back from. Just like this year's comeback player of the year, Geno Smith. In my opinion, Geno Smith came back from not being considered a first QB1. I mean, that's what he came back from. I don't know what else he came back from. He wasn't injured. He wasn't hurt. He just happened to get onto a team that gave him a chance, and he did well. And I don't understand how that's a comeback player of the year when we have people like, Adrian Peterson, who tore his ACL and, comes back in record time and wins comeback player of the year or something to that regard. Maybe it was a slow year for coming back from injuries, but comeback player of the year for Geno Smith, in my opinion, was kind of a joke. I'll be 100% honest.
I think Tim Patrick might be the comeback player of the year.
Ooh. All right. I know that we're running a little bit long, and then we'll hit a few topics here real quick, but that brings up something that was in our ad, buddy. Got to bring it up, right?
Yep.
Tim Patrick announced he's officially cleared for, anything. Anything. He can go out there. He could be taking first team reps next week if Sean Payton called him in and it was legal. He can go out there and do anything he wants or needs on his injured ACL. Albert, man, what do you think of that?
That is an amazing progress. And here's the thing. What you said, that we are allowed to train. Why don't they practice now? Because the NFL puts them to a rest, and they practice at home. And a lot of we saw it with KG Hamler.
It's NFL Players Association, buddy. It's what the players actually negotiated. If it was up to the teams, they would have them there 365, 24/7. The players wanted less contact, wanted less practice time, wanted less, hitting, and, less preseason games. We're now down to 3 preseason games, It's what the players wanted, now it's hurting them.
Yep. So, but yeah, it is amazing to see the progress that Tim Patrick has, and I'm really looking forward to see if he can come back to the old Tim Patrick that we know, and that we don't have a story just like Sutton. And then
I was just going to agree with you, buddy. I know you probably saw me or heard me take that breath, but Tim Patrick is a fighter. He's been he has that mentality, that mindset. We could see it from the moment he took the field for the Broncos, man. He's aggressive. I don't think, at least from a mindset standpoint, he would ever allow himself to get in that space. Now,
right.
Whether his physical abilities can come all the way back, that'll have to be 100% determined. But from a mental aspect, I'm right there. I'm already in the mindset that he is 100% back.
I sure hope so, and that we don't. I sure hope that we don't have another Court Sutherland, because Cortland was in the beginning very feisty and fired up as well, and I haven't seen that fire since he came back from the injury.
I agree, man. I agree, but there's just something about Tim Patrick. He was the leader in that wide receiver room. Forget Cortland Sutton, who really should be. It was obvious, and I think that hurt Sutton last year. Missing his teammate, his best cohort, on the field, off the field. That hurts. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's someone you expect and you rely on. Michael Ronquillo saying Alex Singleton is going to lead the Broncos in tackles on defense again. Certainly a possibility. The one thing I would ask you to do is go out on Twitter, find Jonas Griffith, and check out his workout that he just put out a few days ago as he's getting back into shape. Obviously, he dealt with a couple of injuries, smaller injuries last year, but a few injuries last year. And tell me that you don't think that's a guy who's ready to take the field for the Denver Broncos next year and make a difference. I like the idea of a Jonas Griffith. The Broncos reportedly like the idea of a Jonas Griffith. And if you think of those New Orleans Saint defenses from years gone by, that middle linebacker, that guy that, as Albert was talking about earlier, those white helmets with all the black scars that would have all over them, those were the type of guys that Sean Payton liked to have in the middle of his defense. And Jonas Griffith is that type of guy. So I'm excited about him. Alex Singleton certainly could have that tackle lead at the end of the season. But I'm excited to see what Jonas Griffith does, bud.
Yep, me too.
Clayton has a question. I'll let you jump on this. A few receivers over 1,000 yards. Any thoughts of our running backs 1,000-yard season? What are your thoughts, Albert, man? Do we have, in the wide receiver running back, who would you put in that 1,000-yard category?
That would be, for me, Judy. If there's a receiver that gets 1,000 yards, most likely will be Judy. And then if indeed Tim Patrick comes back to his old self, he might get really close. But our running backs will definitely get 1,000 yards because we're going to be a run-heavy team.
Oh, very good, man. So you think Samaje Perine is going to be the 1,000-yard?
Especially if Javonte is not going to play, missing out the first couple of games, then Perine will be the number one. And then,
Yeah, a little bit of a walk back on Javonte, as the quote that came out was, we won't know that for a while in regards to when Javonte Williams will be coming back for the Denver Broncos. Originally, there was that, we expect him week 1. Now it's we won't know that for a while. So much like most of Broncos country kind of thought, unfortunately, Javonte is not like a 100% go for week 1, like may have been thought of and or reported. So a few receivers over 1,000 yards. I'd be right there with you. I think Judy has a chance of going over 1,000 yards. Even if you look at that Payton offenses and with the Saints, there wasn't usually 2. I mean, we would come close at times. He would come close at times, but there was usually mainly 1, and I would pick Judy to be that guy. I agree with you. Patrick would probably be my second closest, and I expect Perine to be I guess testing that. You know what I mean? So testing that area. I do have a dog in the background that's freaking out just a little bit. Should be silenced in just a little bit, so I apologize. Hopefully, it's not picking up too much, guys. But you know how it goes. Kenny had a question, and Kenny Kirkpatrick over at the K&K show. Guys, K&K Sports, fantastic network. You can find them on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Go check them out. They're doing baseball. They're doing NCAA basketball. They're doing NFL football like we are, but they're doing the whole league. These guys tend to be some Giant fans. They tend to be some... those England teams fans, maybe some Jets fans in there as well. So that New York area as well. But Kenny has a question. Like I said, check out K&K Sports. Gotta give it up to Kenny because they put on a great show, and every once in a while you can see us on there as well. He says, which player besides Russ would you be most concerned with, or biggest question mark heading into next season? He put into the rest of it. And Albert, I'll let you go first as I mute my mic for a moment.
Okay. So the biggest question or biggest concern for me is Lloyd Cushenberry, or the center position. Because Lloyd, if he is being the starter, he is going to be our biggest, weakest link. He is not the biggest in size on the front line, but the biggest, weakest link. Because, we saw it last year. Sometimes he is on the field and he doesn't even know what he is doing, it looks like. So that is for me a big concern Sometimes the pass rushers just run by him, and he was just, "Oh, you're there." That's how it felt to me, and I think that's going to happen again. Even although with the big guys next to him, he is a little guy that gets bullied a lot. So, and we cannot have that, especially if we're going to be a run heavy team. So for me, that is the biggest concern.
And I think that's well founded, buddy. The center position is one place that a lot of people expected us to maybe address in free agency. A lot of people maybe expect us to still address it in the draft. Obviously, we did bring in a center from the Seattle Seahawks, though he has very little playing time, and there's not much expectations of maybe him making the 53, probably the 90 man roster, and probably be a body camp, a practice squad. That's what I was looking for. Thank you, buddy. That being said, I think it's well founded. Sometimes Jody gets on here and talks about Russ is looking good. Russ has lost weight. Russ looks trim, and he looks ready for the season. Russ is also on social media. Russ also gets followed on social media. I haven't checked out Lloyd Cushenberry. I don't know if he's putting anything out there on social media. But you never know if a guy's putting on a little bit of weight this offseason, bulking up a little bit, getting a little bit stronger. I think he could use that. You know what I mean? And he's been, from the moment he was drafted, his mind has been something that he's been lauded for. So I like the fact that he's a smart guy, and quite honestly, they said as of now, he's our starter. I guess what I'm getting at, and I appreciate all the context you gave, but I think he's also my biggest upside player, possibly, especially when it comes to expectations from most of the media and the fans alike. I think he could make a major step this year, and that's what I'm hoping for. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's more the hope, right? Because if he makes a major step next year, let's all face it, we'd be all really happy. So
the problem is I have not seen much improvement from when he started from his first year till now. I haven't seen much improvement, and that is the problem.
I agree, but I'd also say that no one looked good underneath Hackett, so that's one year that you can just rule right out of the books. I don't know of one player that you could put offensively on tape and say last year and say, look how good this guy looked. Not for the entire season. You could say these games, that game, few games, handful of games, but nobody looked good. No one's going to be pulling that tape out and say, hey, look at me this season. That's not a big one. Kenny coming in, his biggest concern is KJ Hamler. Yeah, now torn pectoral. This guy was supposed to be our speed burner. He's been dealing with injuries from college all the way through the pros. It's.
I don't think that Hamler is going to be a problem, because if he is not fit, we have a Montreal Washington that is also a speedy guy, almost as fast as Hamler.
Yeah.
So,
Hamler was supposed to be the more polished wide receiver, though, especially over Washington. Washington's a project to take him as a returner and make him into a more polished wide receiver. So that's a project. Obviously, we bring in a Callaway, and if we keep all our pieces and parts together, maybe Hamler really doesn't get that much playing time to begin with. But,
yeah.
It would be nice to have that guy who could just blow the top off and be consistent and be on the field, but I don't know if we'll ever get that from KJ Hamler.
But just blowing the top off, Washington can do that too.
Yeah,
and
but
you don't even have
to be a threat, though.
No, but he doesn't even have to be played. If he takes one cornerback off of one of the other two guys, that is the benefit, and because they know he is fast, so they.
Yeah, maybe you can hide a Hamler's deficiencies with a Montreal Washington. I think it'd be I just think it's a project for him to get all the way to that point of really trying to surpass Hamler as far as what his talent is if he's ever healthy. So
and a benefit is Montreal Washington does not have to focus on returning anymore, so he can focus on just wide receiving. So maybe that might be a benefit.
That's true. I said at the very beginning, and I don't even know if good old Matt Staffiero is still hanging around our show because we are running a little bit long, but I did want to get to one thing here real quick, guys. He said at the very beginning, and I'm going to see if I can pull it up, but give me just 1 second. Well, the question was roughly... sorry, I'm trying to find it, and of course it's way back up in the chat, and I shouldn't try to do stuff like that. Wish we had like a guy behind the scenes like some of these other pods do, but we run this all on our own, and I don't mind. But he was wondering about possible quarterbacks and the potential of the Broncos, because there's been some rumor of them maybe even being interested all the way into the third round of selecting a quarterback. And I wanted to get your take on that, Albert. Should the Broncos take a quarterback as high as one of our picks in the third round? We have 67 and 68 back-to-back. If the right guy slides, like he was talking about, Will Levis is starting to slide, and that was in the context of his question. I found it. Reports are Will Levis is sliding. Does he fall out of round one? That was part of the question that he had. So... and David Slade and the DBR crew Broncos being linked to quarterbacks as early as round 3. David Slade and DBR crew. Who do you got your eye on? What are your thoughts on that? Do you think we take one in the third round? And B, do you think do you have any names for us in that realm?
No, I don't think we should take a quarterback. We have Russell Wilson. We have Stidham. We can get a project quarterback in the 7th round, and that we can sit a couple of years and let him sit behind Russ and train him that way, because that is the hopper. That could be your hopper. It could be your Tom Brady or Russell Wilson, because they were picked both in the later rounds. So. What do we need in the 3rd round? We need either a center, a tackle, cornerback, defensive lineman. Those are really our needs. And I would not waste a pick in the 3rd round on any QB.
So first off, I want to say this to Kenny. He's saying, thanks, Keith, for the kind words. Always pleasure having you on the show. Well, Kenny, that's very nice. I always appreciate going on your show. It's always a good time. And we need to get you on our show here one of these days very shortly. I was thinking about that even today. But that being said, he's going to steal my thunder. I think this is the steal of the draft. And quite honestly, I don't understand why he's ranked so low as the 3rd round. And if this guy was sitting there at number 68, because I've already picked at 67, I'm absolutely taking Stetson Bennett in the 3rd round and making him possibly the heir to Russell Wilson in the future. Here's a guy who led the Georgia Bulldogs on an amazing run, was lights out, left, right, and otherwise, went up against C.J. Stroud, who everyone's almost saying is going to go number 1 in this draft, and looked all the pieces and parts of a contender against him, had to play in the SEC. You know, I don't understand why this guy is not getting more respect, and that's certainly a possibility. I would take him all day long, Kenny. Me and you are on the same page. That's who I would absolutely take. And I know that it's not a need. I know it's not defensive line. I know it's not cornerback. I know it's not any of those, even wide receiver, we could even say we could end up taking just because of the position that we're in and expiring contracts. But I don't think I'd pass on Stetson Bennett. The last thing I'd just bring in is there's only been a few names that have come out in the 30 visits that the Denver Broncos can actually have. You can bring in 30 guys, 30 visits, and just to kind of answer that question maybe for you as well, Matt, Sean Clifford, quarterback, Penn State, one of the 5 visit candidates that are coming in. Jack Coletto, who's also a fullback linebacker out of Oregon State. David Druden, wide receiver out of West Florida, and make sure I got this, DeMarvion Overshawn, inside linebacker, Texas as well. So, and the last one that I just saw right before we came on, and this is kind of surprising, and I want to get your thoughts on this because I know you have some thoughts around the tight end position. But Luke Musgrave is coming in. Now he's an Oregon State Beaver, but he's actually rated as one of the top tight ends in this draft class. We're not picking till the third round, but we're bringing him in for a visit. What are your thoughts around that, buddy? And hey, before you get to that, I just wanted to say, just in case Clayton's running out of here, he says, "Man, you guys killed it tonight as always. Keep up the great work." Clayton, thank you so much. I appreciate it, buddy. All your hit your like, smash that like and share button. Appreciate you a ton, buddy. You're the best, dog. Take care, buddy. If you happen to be getting out of here, if not, enjoy the rest of the show. We'll be wrapping it up here shortly. So, again, Luke Musgrave, tight end. We already got Dulcich. We do have an Albert O on our roster as well. What do you think about? I mean, we might have to move up to get Luke Musgrave. What are your thoughts on that, buddy?
Well, if this is an all-round tight end like the Chiefs have, what's his name again?
Yeah, if you want to talk about Kelsey, how about these names? How about Jimmy Graham or Jeremy Shockey? I don't know if you remember those guys, but.
Mm-hmm. But if they're similar like that, we could use a blocking tight end that can do it pretty much all. We can use that. Right now, we don't have them. Alvaro is not really a decent, good blocker. Dulcich is up and coming, but it takes a little bit longer. And then we have one that is a tight end that is specific in blocking, but we need one that can do it all. And if he is one of those, I would not be at first that I would say, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, special talent. I really liked Musgrave. He was one of the guys that I'd been, especially being up here in the Pacific Northwest as I am, being based out of Montana. Oregon State Beavers, we get a lot of their football, and it's someone I spotlighted from the very beginning of the season, and lo and behold, he's a top tight end candidate in the upcoming draft. And man, I don't know what the Broncos are thinking. It'd be kind of weird because we just took Dulcich so high just last year, but it's also a new brand, a new brand, a new regime, the whole 9 yards. As Sean Payton comes in, might have a different thought and idea altogether. Could maybe see even a Dulcich be traded in the coming years if that happens to be the case, because we have someone like Musgrave come in. Well, gentlemen, I know that we're running really, really late, but there's one last piece that we absolutely need to get to. It's Noppers Knowledge, buddy. Look at him there, ready to bring the knowledge from the Noppers from Mr. Noppers to us. Noppers Knowledge. He's going to try to stump us all. Gentlemen, I hope you guys are ready, because I'll be honest, I'm a little bit nervous. I don't feel good about the whole situation. I did not do well last week. Clayton, Michael, Kenny, Matt, anybody out there that's listening, watching, please jump in. Save me soon so I don't go through too much shame. But without further ado, Noppers Knowledge. What do you got for us, Dutchie?
Okay, who is this player?
Current Denver Bronco, correct?
Current Denver Bronco, yes.
Okay, yes, very good. All right.
And I will start with an easy one. Born in 1998.
Okay, let's see, 1998. Let's just do the math on that. So now he's, 25-ish years old. Well, we could just say Nick Benito. I don't know. We'll have to get more than that, but.
Okay. So he played in high school competitively in wrestling, track and field, and football.
Okay. Gonna have to keep going, bud.
Okay.
We
He was-
we got Judy.
Nope.
I don't know. Judy didn't seem to come across as a wrestler. Maybe that came in a little bit before that, but go ahead.
He was named honorable mention All-State as both offensive and defensive player
Offensive and defensive player.
in high school.
Wrestling. Quinn Miners.
Ding, 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 ding.
Oh
ding,
my
ding.
goodness. Oh my goodness. Wow. I was thinking, man, who's young? Who's possibly playing offensive and defensive line? I can't believe that, man.
Yep.
I didn't even get. Well, why don't you give us? I know it's a little bit late, but why don't you give us? I don't know, 4 or 5 more great points about Quinn Miners that maybe you had lined up for us as far as some hints, buddy.
So he does the 40-yard dash in 4.99. Oh, that is pretty quick for an offensive player, an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
He has a vertical jump of 32 inches and a broad jump over 9 feet.
Holy, he's an athlete, man. Yeah,
Yep.
you would have been. If I wouldn't have got it right there, you would have had me going down a different path. I would have been not thinking about linemen at this point.
Uh-huh. So he measures 6'3" and is 320 pounds.
Okay, would have got me back to a lineman.
Okay.
320. I don't know if there's many other guys other than linemen.
So he played 2 games as a freshman and then started as a sophomore.
Awesome.
He was drafted a 3rd-round pick, and he started 9 games in his rookie season of his 15 games.
Yeah, and it is expected to be a big piece
Yeah.
of our offense in this upcoming season, man. I mean, right now, there was not very many guys that were brought over, and people said, no, this is the guy I think we're going to stick with. Quinn Miners was the only one.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry, and Bowles.
So and he came from a very very little college. He played in Division III, Wisconsin Whitewater, and when they were not able to play because of COVID, he went to a family's resort, wilderness, where he
Okay.
played in the jungle, pretty much in the jungle, and that's what he did. That is how he trained, and he literally was a beast. And that's one of the highlights of his draft videos. Was you could see him practice against trees, and
That's right. Yeah.
that's what he was. And he is one of my favorite players, and he is wearing number 77. And that ties him also with another great one, and that is the albino rhino.
Oh, there you go, buddy.
So that makes
Mr.
him.
Mecklenburg himself, man.
Yep.
Well, great, buddy. That was a good one, man. Like I said, if I wouldn't have been randomly guessing at 25-year-olds, I don't know if I would have got it. At who I thought might be 25 years old. That was the other big thing. So fantastic, buddy, man. Noppers Knowledge, man. Make sure you jump in every single week, guys. Maybe we'll push this up a little bit more in the show, get a little more people involved next week. Noppers Knowledge, man. Appreciate you, buddy. Just wanted to give some big thanks to some people who are jumping in last minute and giving us some thanks. Albert, Michael Ronquillo saying, great show, Keith and Albert. Always great talking Broncos football. Go Broncos. Absolutely, buddy. Go Broncos and go Michael Ronquillo. Appreciate you being in here and being part of the chat and joining our show. Albert, you're getting an invite. You need to come on Bronco Mania over on the K&K Sports Show. So get your bags packed. You'll be heading back east and jumping on the K&K Sports Show. He says, I need you to stump Kurt, Albert. Nice, buddy. Kurt is the resident Bronco fan over on the K&K Sports Show. So you'll always get a little bit of Kurt and get a little bit of Broncos on every single K&K show. I don't think there's been one that hasn't went by. So even for all you Broncos fans, I know that I told you that it's baseball and it's NCAA basketball and who knows, FIFA soccer maybe someday. But Kurt will always get a Broncos plug in there and probably get a Russ plug in there as well about how he's the greatest quarterback of all time. Clayton just coming in here and saying, smash that like button, share on the way out, guys. And we appreciate that. I didn't bring it up, but we're brought to you guys by the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Of course, we're the Denver Bronco Roundup. We each have our own Facebook page, but we're brought to you every single night and every single evening by the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Check them out on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. I'll tell you what, check out their website as well, because they're just put up a recent article. Speaking of that K&K Sports show that does all sports, great article by Mr. Burke on Major League Baseball. So check that out as well. But Rocky Mountain Sports Network, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. So we definitely appreciate those guys, Matt, Jacob, and all the guys over the Rocky Mountain Sports Network, including me and Albert, because we're really kind of part of that as well. So appreciate you guys. Check them out. Like I said, always breaking news, especially on Facebook, and got some great articles that are coming about on their website. More and more articles coming about as well. So, boy, Kenny, best Broncos talk and trio around. Missing you, Jody. And yes, we do miss you, Jody. If you're still out there, thanks for every week that you're usually here, and we're certainly missing you this week, right, Albert?
Yes, absolutely. And we could have used him, especially in the beginning of the section.
Yeah, absolutely. Could have used the judge to come in, right?
Yep.
I'll let you answer this one, buddy, or talk about this one.
So this is my lovely wife, and she is a big supporter of me, and I love it, and she loves the show as well.
Yeah, comment that's up for anybody just listening says, love it, guys. Super fun and interactive. Appreciate that. That was Albert's idea. I think we got a little bit more interaction because of Albert's idea, so appreciate you, Albert, man. Always a shared experience on the show from hosts, co-hosts, and commenters and viewers and likers and subscribers alike. So are the Colorado Avalanche going to get that win? Maybe that Stanley Cup win? Anthony's asking. I know there's a Broncos show, but man, what a run it could possibly be if the Avalanche go back-to-back. The Nuggets take down the NBA championship for the first time, which, heck, they're on the verge of winning the Western Conference as it goes right now. And then Sean Payton comes in, turns the Denver Broncos around, gets that 13 wins in the season, as Clayton was talking about earlier, and leads us to the Super Bowl, and we get a parade for that. Could we get 3 parades within 365 days? That would be amazing, bud.
Wouldn't that be a trifecta?
That would be a trifecta. Yeah, and then we'd start working on a different trifecta, at least for the Avalanche. If they got that W and we went back-to-back for them, then, heck, they need to go 3 in a row, man. Get the octopus out on the ice, man. So, thank you, Clayton. Great Broncos talk, as always, he says. He says, go Bucks. He's from Wisconsin. So, very good. Your Milwaukee Bucks, I'll give you. I'm not. Neither one of these are my teams. I'll be honest. I'm a Lakers fan, but since the passing of the late great Kobe Bryant, I've maybe digressed in my fandom and put it all into Denver Broncos and you guys here. So, Michelle jumping in. We're just everyone's blowing it up in the outboard, guys. We're like, this is one of our longest shows. Me and Albert were saying Jody's not here. It's going to be a short show. It hasn't happened that way, but Michelle's coming in saying, "Oh yeah, let's do it." Gotta love a great parade. Kenny coming in saying, "You can say Broncos, Keith, but no on the Rockies." Yeah, I don't know if we're going to make it all the way to the Rockies, though. You know, I was listening to a little bit of 104.3 The Fan a little bit today, and they did point out the fact that the Rockies have made it to a World Series, but the Nuggets have never made it to an NBA championship. So it'll be a complete swing as far as that's concerned. So, oh hey, Michael Ronquillo's a Lakers fan, so right on, buddy. Maybe we can join some fandoms together. And Clayton jumping in here. We're getting an all sports show all of a sudden now too. He's saying Lakers going to make the playoffs, I think, and I think so too. Indeed, and a thumbs up. So, man, thank you guys for jumping in the chat at the end. We appreciate all the love. Again, please like, share, subscribe as it has been mentioned already in the show. We appreciate it. We do this for you guys. Albert's idea of trying to get you guys involved in the show is because it's for you guys, right, Albert?
Absolutely. Yeah, and if you have a suggestion or a topic you would like to talk about, give us shoot us a message, and we will put it in our agenda.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe we'll invite a guest once in a while to talk
That's
about
an idea too, but that'd be great, bud. We might be able to do that as well. So, but seriously, guys, if you guys have some burning topics you'd like us to hit next week, some ideas, some thoughts, this is your show just as much as it's ours. So please, please, please drop those in the comments. We would love to see that. And we're already getting our first request. Clayton, we might be reaching out. So reach out to us. Send us a request out on Facebook. I'm at Keith Rugman. You can request Albert as well. You can, if you're not already following the Denver Bronco Roundup page, that's one place that I always have great contact with as well. So you can like, share, and message me in there some way. We'll find a way, bud. We'll get it done. So love to have some guests on the show as well. So Albert, long show, buddy. Long show, but anything that you wanna say before we get out of here? You've already brought us your knowledge, but certainly leave us with something if you wish for the week, bud.
Oh yeah, next week hopefully we will have Jody back. He is missed. We always like his interactions. The show might have been about 5 minutes longer than today, but even although we have 1.5 hour shows, it doesn't feel like it. It is just the shows just fly by, and I really enjoy interacting with all of you guys, and keep up the good works.
Yeah. I'll just echo that on my way out the door, guys. Like I said, this is your guys' show. We appreciate you guys a ton. We appreciate coming in here and being friends with us and commenting and asking questions and having conversations about what we love, what you love, the Denver Broncos, man. It's a great outlet for all of us. It's just as much for me as it is for you. And this show wouldn't be anything if it wasn't for all of you guys out there. So go out there, be Denver Broncos fans, be a Denver Bronco Roundup fan a little bit too. And we appreciate you guys. We want to see you guys back next week. So that's all I got, man. I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for this evening. Remember, on the Rocky Mountain Sports Network, every single week, Tuesday, 6:30, the Denver Bronco Roundup. Join us next week. We'd love to see you guys again. With that, we're out of here, guys. Good night.